So one of the things I'll say about living in Dearborn for 5 years is how different it was when I left. People literally had to tell me, like, it's okay to be a Republican now. Because when I was there, the persecution for your beliefs is so strong that you feel like you are just constantly, they're coming at you constantly. But when I left, someone told me, like, yeah, it's okay to be Republican here. And I'm like, wow, that's so different from what I'm used to. Because now I'm in a county where you can be a Republican and not everybody will hate you for it. But where I was before, in Dearborn area, there's a lot of not only Muslims, but just liberal Democrats that will come at you, as you could see with the reporter that came at me. They will just come at you and attack you for your beliefs and try to degrade you for simply being a Republican. It's just so crazy. You just feel like you can't even breathe there. And then when I left, it was like, wow, in a Republican county. So it's so different, and I'm happy to be out of there. I was there to be salt and light, reach out to Muslims when I was there. I was glad I was there when I was there, but I'm glad I left when I left. And they basically ran me out of town because the Muslims filed a hate crime saying that I was giving out Bibles and this was somehow a hate crime. No, this is a crime of love, my friend, because people that hate you don't risk their life and limb to go give you a Bible and talk to you about Jesus. They don't do that. People that hate you, I'll tell you, there are people that hate Muslims. They would never knock on their door and tell them about Jesus. They would let them go to hell and they would not care one bit. Those are the people that hate you. The people that love you go knock on the door and talk to you about Jesus, risking life and limb, as you can see with Jake Lang, how they attacked him physically. And one time I could say I was on my own giving out Bibles by myself one day, and a Muslim grabbed me and he would not let me go. And I was just like, oh my goodness, this guy's overpowered me. I cannot get out of this. And I've been an athlete for many years. I was in the military. So I can usually get out of a situation like that, but I could not get away from this one. They had been just working out for years or whatever. They were very built. And he grabbed me and I could not get away. I literally could not. And he started saying creepy things to me. And I was just like, oh my goodness. This is just, what did I get myself into? But I told him, if you don't let me go, I'm going to make sure they put you in jail. And do you want to be locked up for years? And I just talked to him and he let me go and then left at a park. And I was just like, oh my goodness, wow. So it can get to a point that's really crazy where they'll get physical, but with women, it's different than that. It's not with rocks. That's a different situation. But yeah, they could actually grab you and hurt you. So, and a lot of them I think are not all of them, but some of them are juvenile in their thinking. Just you have your white redneck. They're juvenile in their thinking. They hate people because of the color of their skin, which is ridiculous. And some of the Muslims hate people for being Christian or Jew. And they're just juvenile narcissists. The way they think about things is it's just adolescent. It's you're not an adult, you're just not an adult. But I've seen some Muslims that are really highly intelligent, doctors. I think some of them are actually trying to make nuclear weapons, so they're not stupid. Some of them are very, very smart. So it's not that they're stupid. It's that they're outnumbering and overpowering. And that's the problem, where the problem is. I don't mind them being here, in some ways, because we can reach them with the gospel without going overseas and risking life and limb over there, where the laws do not protect us whatsoever as a Christian. I've known missionaries that are in foreign countries reaching Muslims, And they're risking their life like every second. And if they get caught there, like they're going to die. So I would rather some of them be here and you can reach them here. And that's what I've kind of devoted my life to it. I didn't even devote my life to it. It just kind of happened. God was just like, do this. And I did it. So, and what God impressed on me was that you have to reach them with love. You cannot reach them with hate. You're not going to reach them by screaming them down. You could scream all day about, you know, ICE and everything else, and you will never reach a Muslim that way. In fact, you're going to dig them more into their belief system. But if you went to their house and you gave them a Bible, talked to them, we sat in their house for like 2 hours before, because they wouldn't let us out. It's like, they're friendly, the kind of friendly that you find in like Southern people, where you're like, I want out of this house, and they won't stop talking. Like, I can't get out. How do I get out? You're like looking for the door, you know. And I came from a Southern family. My grandpa, if you visited him, a lot of times he'd get talking to you and you couldn't get away. But it was fun. He told me a lot of stories from the war. He was a Korean War veteran. Stories from our family history, you know, and there's nobody that could ever replace him. He's the best man I've ever met in my entire life and ever will. But that's a lot like Muslims. They get you in their house and they're giving you coffee and tea because you're going to be there for a while. When we knocked on their doors, they'd invite us in and we would be like trapped. Like, we can't get out. And we would talk to them about our beliefs and they'd talk about their beliefs, and we'd try to get in a little bit of, you know, like, can you give on this? Jesus is, you know, higher than any other prophet. Can you give on that one? You know, you're basically negotiating. And that's how you can win a Muslim, through negotiating with them and like them going through really hard life circumstances and realizing that Islam does not have the answers. That's how you reach them. You're not going to reach them by screaming at them. They will actually scream louder and then attack you physically. So you're not going to reach them that way. But this video was supposed to be about J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy. And it reminds me of my family upbringing in a lot of ways. Because my grandparents were from Arkansas, but my grandma was part Cherokee. So it was just a very unique upbringing, because my grandpa was a war veteran and my grandma was part Cherokee. And my grandpa always supported Trump and always supported Republicans and was just all about that my whole upbringing. And my grandma was all about the gospel. She would sing gospel music and watch Van Impe, and they'd put on the 10 Commandments when I stayed with them. And I stayed with them a lot because my parents were divorced. They couldn't always watch me or whatever, so they left me with my grandparents a lot. And I hope J.D. Vance gets elected president next. Like, hoping and praying, because that's kind of our only hope at this point. I mean, maybe Rubio, but I think it's going to have to be Vance. I really do. But this book's interesting because he talks about a lot of the childhood trauma that he went through. And I've been through a lot of childhood trauma too, so, like, I can relate. Basically spending a lot of time with his grandma because of his mom's situation that she was in with addiction. And we've had to go through that as a family, dealing with someone that has addiction problems. So I've been through that as well and had to raise my kids by myself for years because of it. So yeah, it rings home. It like rings true. And I hope he becomes the next president. I'm like really hoping. We'll see what happens. But yeah, and it was also horrifying what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's really just like unthinkable. It's the only thing I can describe that as. And every time I think of Vance, I think of Kirk. And it's like, how unthinkable. What they did to him is unthinkable. It's horrific. But the Bible says there will come a time when those who kill you will think they're doing God's service. And I think we see that in a lot of different ways where, they thought they were doing the right thing by killing Charlie Kirk. They thought that was the right thing to do because they thought he was spreading hate when he was just trying to spread, traditional family values that America has had for hundreds of years. It's not something that's really that out there. It's these new radical beliefs that are out there that are far away from the traditional American beliefs that we were always, taught. It's what's coming in, this new leftist stuff that's coming in that's very out there and harmful. It's not what Charlie Kirk was teaching that was bad and horrible. He was just trying to preserve the family unit and preserve America. So it's sick what they did to him. And then Jake Lang, it's crazy what has happened to him in Dearborn. But you can't win a Muslim by screaming at them. You can only win Muslims by living alongside them, like I've done for 10 years now, and reaching out to them, becoming friends, having meals with them, talking with them. That's how you win them. It's a slow, arduous, difficult process to reach them. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's definitely not going to happen by screaming at them. It won't win them. It'll make them dig in more and become more tight-knit and more radicalized, where if you reach them kind of one by one, then you might make some headway with it. But yeah, I just can't believe the times that we're living in, and it almost feels like we all died in the COVID pandemic, and now we're just in hell. That's the way that it feels. But what I would say to them, if they're saying Allah Akbar, I'd say Jesus is greater. Jesus is greater. And let them think about that. Because Jesus is greater than Allah, and Jesus is God. So, and I've had many arguments with Muslims on that, but I could talk about that another day. But Jesus is greater.